Hello everyone. In this lecture, I'm going to demonstrate on how to design a room. I'm thinking that I will build a reception area for a small company, and the space is 6 meter by 5 meter. So I will maybe first just simply start it with a polyline. I will start to draw 6 meter and then 5 meters. So I type in 6,000, and you realized that our grid is much smaller, so I need to zoom out. I press on Shift so that I will only draw horizontally, and I type in 5,000, and this is our basic scale already. And another 6,000, press Enter, and just snap to the point. So of course we can do another very simple way of using rectangular shape, which you can do it anywhere on your screen. What you do is you type in at, and you type in 5,000, comma 6,000. At will give you a relative distance. So press Enter. So actually I did wrongly. I should do it 6,000 and 5,000. 6,000, comma 5,000. Enter. So either way we'll do, we end up with a space definition. Just delete one of them. So this is our space, and I'm going to first have a thickness of the wall. I would use various tools. I will start with offset curve. And as you can see, the dimension is already set to 240. If it's not, you should click on dimension and type in 240, which is the typical thickness for the wall. I could go inwards or outwards. Either way will do. So this is roughly just the space of the room. I could probably start to draw a surface. A little bit bigger. I draw a rectangular shape, and I'm going to just do a planar surface. So if we look at our perspective view, I have some kind of a surface. I should use a different display mode. So with this wireframe, I should start to extrude and give the room a three-dimensional quality. So I would use, there are many different ways that you can extrude and build your wall. I would go to extrusion, extrude straight. If at some point that you don't remember where to go and look for the toolbar, what you can always do is type in, which might be what you want to do, is to type in extrude, and then the command will come out. So I type in extrude. And the height, since it's a room, the height should be maybe 3 meters. So I would have to type in 3,000 because I'm using millimeter as my unit. So 3,000, press Enter. And before I press Enter, I should look for some of other options. I should check the solid as yes, because I want to extrude the wall as a solid. So I check this one as yes. I lost my 3,000, so I may have to type in the 3,000 again as the height and press Enter. So at this point, I have a solid object there, which then later you can operate on with Boolean or Boolean union or other comments that's good for solid. Okay, so I have a space and I have a floor. I don't have a room yet. I don't have a roof. So I'm going to just start to do some designing here and there. Maybe first I will do a reception desk. Escape here. I'm just going to simply build some kind of a curvy shape, and I will use this one as my reception desk. I'm going to make a copy for 600 millimeter. Press on Shift, Enter. So maybe finish the, realizing that I'm not really paying too much attention on the dimension yet. I could go and do a linear dimension and see how big this is. So this is about 3 meters. That's kind of fine for a reception desk. If I think it's too long, I could maybe select the whole thing and do a 1D scale. So let's say I think I'm having too much of a distance, taking too much of the space. Although you have to realize that the form is a little bit different after you scale it. So let's say I'm happy with this. I'm going to extrude again using extrude, and of course select extrude as a solid, and then I don't really see the height, but I'm going to just type in the height that I wanted as 750, and if I like, I can continue to build on the height. So let's look at it, what I have. Okay, so I have some kind of a reception desk there. Of course, this is all very simple. This is only a form. So let's say I'm happy with that. I'm going to continue to build, and I need a door to enter the space. So the door, maybe I will switch between my views. I will build my door from the front view. So let's say I intend the door to be 1.8 by 2.1. So maybe I will draw something, or just draw it with polyline. Actually, I don't need to draw it right on my shape. I can draw anywhere. So I'm going to draw a width of 1,800 and 2,100 as the height. Just type in the dimension, and realizing that you could use Smart Track to easily find the point. So that's the size of the door. It's kind of a really big double swing. So I'm going to move my, and at this point I should probably getting a few other snapping point. So I will use my midpoint. Maybe I can use my perpendicular, and I think that's pretty much sufficient, and mid and perpendicular. So I'm going to move this to maybe middle point to middle point on this form. Okay, so of course I'm not really, I snapped it to the edge of the surface rather than anywhere on the wall, but that's okay. What I want to do is I want to do a boolean. So I'm going to construct something, go to extrude again, or sometimes if you like, you could first create a planar surface and then extrude the surface. Either way will do. You can extrude the curve and make it solid, or you can also extrude the surface. So when you extrude the surface, you should go to the pull-down menu, solid, and extrude the surface, and just say straight, and select the surface, and then just simply extrude. I wanted this two to be intersected a little bit so that I can do some operation on it. So let's just cut a hole, go to solid, and Boolean difference. Select the poly surface, press enter, and select the second one, press enter. Of course, you want to read very carefully on your command line. Since I already know it, I just kind of do it pretty quick. So that's our simple form there with a door opening. And I also need a door. So maybe I need to undo and bring back my, because I just deleted my surface. So maybe I use the surface and then create a door. Because the door has a double swing, it's 1.8 meter, it's 1,800 millimeters, so you cannot really swing the door with one swing. So I need to separate this into a two. So maybe what I do is I will draw a line. There are many ways you can design something. So I will draw a line. I would split this into two. So click on split. Select object to split, which is the surface. Press enter and select the cutting, which is the middle line. Press enter. So now I have a two. I can operate on both of them. So I would select both of them, press on shift, and then give a thickness to it. So since now I have a surface, so I want to go to solid and extrude the surface. You do not want to confuse yourself extruding surface or extrude the curve. They're different. So now I'm extruding my surface. So the thickness of the door panel can just be 50. So now I have a door panel, two of them. If I don't like the surface to be there and getting confused, I just delete. So now I should select and put this into space. I can move and maybe snapping it from there to the middle point. So pretty much I snapped it to it, but also this may not be the correct location for it. I may want to move this and then simply just move and try to snap from middle point to middle point, so the door panel is actually sitting in the middle of the opening. So if I like, I could design a door frame, which won't be that difficult. So I would probably draw a little rectangular shape and give a distance, type in at. Say I want 50 to be the thickness and 100, type in comma 100 to be the depth of it. And then with this little shape that I might even be able to do a one real sweep, just simply light this to go around the shape of the opening, because of course now you have a very simple rectangular shape as opening, but sometimes you could have a very elaborated form as the opening. That's going to be challenging for a door, but it's possible. So I'm going to do a one real sweep. Realize that I don't really have a line to follow to perform the one real sweep. So I do need to draw again, because I delete, at some point I delete my polyline. So I just draw over, but be very careful when you snap on points. You want to check that you actually snap down the correct points. So if something is getting confused, that you can always hide them. So I'm going to first move this line to the middle point here, and then I'm going to move the shape also using the middle point and then snap to it. So this is going to be the door frame, but this door frame is hiding inside of the wall, so this is a wrong snapping point. I need to move and snap from here to that middle point. Yes. So okay, so So I'm going to do a one real sweep. Select the toolbar and one real sweep. Or otherwise you might be able to type in sweep 1 and select the reel, which is this one, and select the cross section. Always read your command line, press enter, and press enter. In this case, we just say OK. So we pretty much have a door frame there, holding the door. Okay, so now let's unhide. Okay, so that's this detail right there, and of course sometimes the door is half open and half closed, and we may want to just rotate the door a little bit. So we're very lucky that the rotation comes out correctly, and so maybe that's it. So of course we don't have all the detail. We have some details, but we don't have all the details. But that's okay for building a room like this. That's sufficient level of details, because you might have a lot of details for your door frame, but for the purpose of interior rendering, you may want to ignore those details. So that's our reception desk, and then maybe I want to do some design on this shape. I will do a contour like what I did before. I also hide some of the other elements so that I can see. For example, I'm going to slice this one and having a contour and having some design quality to it. I'm going to, since I know I'm going to do a contour, I may even want to hide this so that nothing is blocking my view. So I will go to the toolbar and select on contour. Select object for contour, which is this one. Press enter. Select the base point, which I can select from the bottom one, and select the direction, which I can snap to a top point, because I'm just going to go do a vertical contour, and I'm going to type in the space as 50 millimeter. Press enter. So I sliced this shape and made a series of lines. So I'm going to hide my form because I want to play on this. I found this is more interesting. So I will select all of them, and maybe I will go to solid and do a pipe. So without doing anything, I first need to change the diameter. Maybe I would, actually it's a pipe radius, so maybe I would use the radius as 10. So the diameter is 20. Press enter. Okay, I did the pipe for all of them. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. Of course, you may not need the pipe for the behind because it's more a decorative element. You really don't need it, and it actually will disturb the function of the reception desk if you actually have something behind, because behind is most likely to be the knee space and maybe drawers and other elements. So I'm just going to bring back and do unhide all the elements. So I think there's many different ways that you can design something. So maybe I'm going to simply just going to move the shape a little bit, because what I think is I actually need this one in front, but I don't really need the one behind. So I'm going to trim off this one just by doing a boolean so that I can trim off this part of the contour, and I don't want to trim off the edge. So maybe I will shrink my shape just a little bit, do another scale in this case, I'm going to do a 1D scale again probably. So I just loosely put my point somewhere in the middle because I simply just want to do a 1D scale sort of roughly correct. Because a lot of time when you start to design and use Rhino to design, you may not need to be bothered so much about the dimension. So, so that's one of the shape, but I want to make a copy of the exact and just put it at the same location. So I actually have two of them, and without doing anything, one of them is selected, so I hide one of them. Because sometimes it's very important that you have a copy of something, because once you do a Boolean, you might not be able to find your shape. So Boolean difference, so I would select, actually they are separated, although they are a pipe, they're not connected. I won't bother with the details at this point. I'll just, okay, then I'll just select all of this from behind, and I will do a Boolean difference with the shape selected. Select the surface to subtract with, which is it this one? Press enter when done. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, so let's hide. I think I did pretty much what I intended to do. The top one is still go all around, and all the rest got trimmed off. So that's this one. And of course, there's a million different ways that you can design a reception desk. I'm going to unhide because I may not even need the top one. So that's kind of my reception desk. And you can design anything you wanted. And this is more like a required project, but exploratory. So that's my reception desk. And of course, my reception desk is also not high enough because it's only 750, and normally the reception desk will have two height. One is a working area, which is 750. Another one is another layer, which is sort of on top as a glass top or something. So maybe I just continue to elaborate on this reception desk. So I'm going to play again. I'm going to guide out, duplicate the border. I select the surface and press enter. So I duplicated the border, and I'm going to use a different view to move this one up as another 150. Press on shift. And this is just a line, and I can turn on the control point. And maybe I will just select a few of them. I may not need the middle one, so I'm going to delete the middle one because they are confusing. Oh, I don't think I should do that because then the shape is changed. So let's select some of it. In the case that I'm not selecting anything extra, I should probably either hide or lock whatever underneath. So with the shape, with the control point, maybe I just select a few, press on shift again, and keep selecting the control point that I think is necessary to be selected. And I'm moving them a little bit. There are, of course, many different ways that you can achieve this. And so this is a smaller shape, and I'm just going to simply do extrude. I'm going to extrude upwards or downwards, either way. and type in 20. And this is very thick. I'm intending for this to be a piece of glass, and this is very thick piece of glass. Of course, I have to select solid as yes. So let's type in 20 again. Press enter. So that's the piece of glass on top of the reception desk. So this is more or less looking like a reception desk now. I hide the shape so that I can see the table. Of course, the piece of glass is floating, so there are many things we could do. That we could build a little cylinder to support. I'm not going to go into all the details. So as you can see, this project is a combination of using all the tools that you have learned and really getting familiar. Prepare yourself before the final project. So that's this one. Let's open a window somewhere and then maybe build a form here and there to as a canopy for the reception desk. So I will open a window. Let's say somewhere over there I'm going to open a window. This is pretty much the same, except maybe I want to use a different view. Maybe I use my right view, and I'm going to create a shape. Type in at 2 meter by 2 meter, for example. So 2000, 2000. Press enter. So that's how big the window is. It's pretty big, and I wanted the window to be like about 600 millimeter above the ground. So this is our curve. Move the window and snap to anywhere will do, and then start to move again and move up 600. So type in 600 and press on shift. So now it is at 600 level, and I'm going to try to move in to this area and snap to the middle. So how do I achieve that? I think I can probably use the smart track, which makes sure that your smart track is on right here, the smart track. So let's move. Snap to the midpoint, and of course there's a midpoint right there, but you don't want to snap all the way to the top, so you want to come down here, and I have my perpendicular selected, and with the smart track I should be able to just move horizontally. Okay, click. So now I have the window placed in the right place in terms of this one view. So okay, so it is actually on the surface, and let's select this curve and do an extrusion, and I do want it to be solid, so select solid, and maybe this is a direction that I want to extrude. Click. So because the surface is overlapping, so there's always a danger when you try to do some boolean. So for one thing, I could delete whatever shape that I created. Maybe I should move, but remember to press on shift. I'll just move a little bit so that I can do a nice boolean there. And go to solid and boolean the difference. Select the surface, which is this one, press enter, and select the object, press enter, so that I did the boolean. Okay, so once you're done with the boolean, okay, this is just a very typical window. Let's play and have some fun and make a different shape of the window. Let's say I'm going to design a window which is rather in a funny type of shape. I will do it 1500 in terms of the height. Okay, so if you're happy or if you're not happy, you can always change this by moving the control point. let's say I'm happy with this, and this is quite big in terms of this space, and I would do a mirror, or otherwise you could also type in mirror and then close this with a line. So this is another gigantic shape. Maybe it is a little bit too big, so what I can also do is I can do a 1D scale and just select the object, press enter, and I would press on shift, so I'm scaling a little bit, and I'm going to put this shape on the other wall. So I'm going to move this again to the middle point, snap there, and for this case I could even ignore the height. So I'm just going to extrude the shape and make it really long, and always remember solid, otherwise you won't be able to boolean. So I don't really want it to be there, so press on shift. Okay, so now I can really do a boolean again. Select the wall, press enter. Select the window opening. Okay, so that's this one. It's going all the way up to the ceiling, so maybe that's not what I wanted. So I do have to move the shape a little bit downwards, just a little bit, tiny little bit will do, or type in 200 if you want to control the distance. Okay, so do a boolean again. Boolean, select surface, select the cutting object basically for boolean. So that's more interesting here. I'm going to undo it because I want to make this shape goes all the way to the floor, because I intend this one to be an opening. So come back to my right again and do another 1D scale. And just bring it down to all the way to the floor. So now do another boolean the difference. Okay, do not select wrong object. Okay, so this is the room, and I will stop here as the first part, and I will continue with the second part.